They call it a Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese?
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
A Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Lay Big Mac.
Lay Big Mac. What do they call a Whopper?
I don't know. I didn't go into Burger King.
Hi, welcome to the first Movie Mondays, where
Yeah.
we're going to be doing a review of Pulp Fiction.
Every other Monday, boom, Movie Monday. So, yes, today we are going to review Pulp Fiction. We just got done watching it, both of us for the first time.
Yeah, we wrote down notes and everything.
I bought the movie on Blu-ray, like
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
It's been in the making for a long time.
The full intention of watching it with Seth, but I just never got around to it. So, yeah, we're gonna be talking about it today. So, first impressions, what did you think of the movie?
It was weird.
It was definitely weird.
It was weird for sure. Had a lot more star power than I thought it
did. There was a ton of people in it. Because, they had shown, the
I knew
people
John
that were
Travolta
starring in it.
and Samuel L. Jackson, but I was
Yeah.
like, Bruce Willis?
And,
Christopher Walken?
When the beginning thing, they made it seem like, I thought that Christopher Walken was going to have a bigger role, but he literally was just...
Yeah, he got a starring... He had 10 lines, probably.
Yeah, and most of them were about how he
How he
had a
had to
gold
put
watch in
on.
his ass. But, so yeah, I thought it was a very strange movie. It's definitely, especially if it's your first Tarantino movie, because I've never seen any Tarantino
You haven't
movies
seen the
before.
Kill Bill movies?
I haven't. I watched the beginning I probably watched the first hour of Kill Bill Volume 1. And then my Netflix stopped working, so I couldn't finish it. And then I was just like, do I really care enough to continue?
I thought it was very good. But we're talking about Pulp Fiction.
So Tarantino's so weird. The way the first impression of it was just especially with the first scene where it was
Where it was the two people.
yes, Honey Bunny and Pumpkin.
Oh, we should do a spoiler-free review, and then go into so. We liked it.
Yes,
It was really good.
without spoilers. It's good. It's strange. It's very it's kind of hard to follow at points.
It was very good. It was very good at building tension.
Yes, very good acting.
Oh,
the acting was great.
The directing and acting was fantastic.
The
for sure.
writing was astounding.
We talked before about how the writing was. It brought us in. Even when they were talking about nonsense. It
Exactly,
was
because the quote that we just opened up with was from the film. In one of the beginning scenes where they're talking to each other and they're just talking about how one of them took a trip to Amsterdam and how everything is different in Europe, and it was just it felt like the conversation held no weight, but it was still interesting.
For
and
being a
intriguing.
2.5 hour long movie, it certainly kept me interested the entire time.
It definitely did. So, from here on out, spoilers.
Yeah. So if you haven't already watched it, watch it and then hear us talk about it.
Okay, so right off the bat, the first scene with Honey Bunny and Pumpkin as they are labeled in the credits.
Really, they didn't have names.
Yeah. Well, I believe they said at the end they said
Yolanda.
Yolanda was the
And,
girl's name. Ringo was the dude's
Ringo,
name.
yeah.
So, but they still labeled them in the credits as Honey Bunny and Pumpkin.
That's what they're called a lot.
So, right off the bat, I was really confused by that scene because I was like, I don't know who these characters are. Because I had always seen Jules and Vincent.
Yeah.
All the time, throughout pop culture.
I was, for the whole time, I was like, I couldn't really pick up what Ringo was saying.
He had a bit of an accent to him. I believe that, I don't know what ethnicity that, I believe he
sounded
comes...
Australian,
Yeah,
kinda?
I believe he's Australian.
Ringo, yeah.
Because he was in The Incredible Hulk, the one with...
But I could figure
What's
out what
his
he
face?
was saying at the end when he comes back.
Yeah. So that scene, it was really weird to me because throughout the entire movie, you're going to be like, why does this scene happen? Does it hold some sort of, metaphorical weight?
Yeah, because I forgot about it.
Yeah, and I was trying to think,
In the beginning,
why?
and, when we got to the end, when it came back, I was like, oh, I forgot this happens.
So if you're watching this movie, it feels like multiple different short films put into one movie that all connect with each other. That's basically what's going on. And the way that Tarantino filmed it...
They really don't connect with each other that much.
Yeah,
the whole Bruce Willis story was...
It was really weird and out of place.
Literally the only part is that he kills Vincent. That's the only...
Yeah, but that doesn't even matter because the end of the movie, which is the beginning of the movie, which is a weird way
From a different perspective.
that Tarantino does things... Well, not even really... It was just a continuation of the beginning scene because it picked up with them about to do the robbery in the diner.
It was kind of from a different perspective.
I guess so. Yeah, but So it was just, I don't know, man, because the part with Bruce Willis, while it was cool and very strange, and it just basically connected. It connected a character that didn't really need to be there.
Yeah, that
Because
whole scene, it was kind of like, this doesn't really
Bruce
need
Willis's
to
character,
happen.
yeah, it didn't need to happen. I guess maybe it just kind of showed what happens after all of that, after the whole scene at the end of the movie where they get into the, where they're about to, where Pumpkin and Honey Bunny are robbing the diner. I mean, I guess it's just it's serving to show what happens after that, but he put it in the middle of the movie, which is very strange to me. He made that, what was that, the third act? That was the third act, wasn't it? Because I guess.
No, that'd be the second act because no.
Well, because it did the intro really serve as an act.
Yeah.
And then the first act was the whole thing with Vincent and Marcellus Wallace's wife,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Which
the second
also
part was Bruce
didn't
Willis.
have a lot of weight and was just kind of weird.
It was very strange. The whole movie is very strange. It's a nonsensical movie, but for some reason,
it keeps you enveloped.
it keeps you into it, and it's so good. I really enjoyed that movie, and it's so strange. I don't
and
know
it's
why.
like looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I watched that. Nothing really happened, but I'm glad I watched it.
Rotten Tomatoes gives it's like 94% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's got a really high
across
rating.
the board. It's got so many good like reviews and ratings, and I had always wanted to see it, and I thought it was going to be like some greater story because I always knew about the briefcase.
I thought it was going to be some sort of crazy story.
And I thought it was going to
like,
be this whole story surrounding the briefcase, and it's like this whole like adventure.
But the briefcase makes two appearances.
Exactly, and it was only.
And there's a lot of theories on what the briefcase means.
Which
we were just looking those up.
We'll get into that in a minute. I
Yeah.
want to talk about just the movie as a whole first.
Yeah, and like the cinematography was awesome. We already talked about.
The cinematography
Like,
was beautiful.
I remember one scene in the beginning when the camera was in like a top corner of the room.
Yeah,
and
when they
and
were about to go into the elevator. Yeah.
And it just looked really nice.
And then the next scene directly after that was like, or I remember this distinctly because it was like them walking into the elevator, and then they get into the elevator, and then it's like them standing there, and you only see the back of their heads while they're talking. And I don't know, there was just something about it that was just so interesting.
It was really
different. It wasn't just like, oh, a dramatic shot of the face.
Yeah, it was, and then like all the diner scenes and stuff were really well done.
Yeah, everything in that, like cinematography wise, that
like,
movie
what
is
was that place
well
called?
done.
I have it written down. Jack Rabbit Slims.
Yes,
that
which was
whole
so
that
cool.
whole scene was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like just that whole set was really cool.
And like I don't know, because I feel like it had some themes to it, because there was so many drugs in that movie, but for why though? Like, what was the whole point of Uma Thurman ODing?
Yeah, that was.
What I mean, I don't know. It's so strange that it didn't build a greater story, but still managed.
Yeah, and
to
then
be
there's
such a
and
good
then there's
movie.
like Quentin Tarantino's character Jimmy, who was just like, he was just kind of there.
Yeah, it was so strange.
He was like a guy who was like, yeah, I want no part of this, but you're bringing a dead person to my house.
Yeah, it was just very strange to me. The whole movie.
Because like, why were him and Jules cool? Like, it seemed like he really wanted no part of that.
Yeah, and like when you look back on it, I'm just kind of like, what was the point? But at the same time, it's so good.
I think it was just like everything about it was really good, like the lighting. And,
yes.
Like something that really got me was how much lighting they put on the eyes.
There
like
was
how
a
the
lot
how
of
the
lighting
light
on
how
the
the
eyes.
eyes were always really bright.
And there was a lot of warm colors. The whole entire color palette.
It was always
all
warm. Yeah.
warm. It was all.
I don't
always...
remember seeing many blues in that entire movie.
Because I remember, like, there was a sharp contrast in the beginning when they're walking up to the apartment where the briefcase is, where the famous scene is, the interrogation.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there's, like, this one point when they're getting into the hotel and, like, the lighting is, like, in some parts of not the hotel, the apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's some parts of the hallway where it's, like, really, like, the lighting is
kinda
very
dark.
yellow and
Yeah.
orange. And then I remember it transitioned to, like, this kind of whiter, and it was just, like, it really, I don't know, something about it stood out. Just
The colors really popped.
Yes, the
for
colors
sure.
did pop. Let's see. I've got the acting and the chemistry.
Oh yeah, like Jules and Vincent were very good.
Yeah, they were, like, the chemistry between the two was very good. The chemistry between Vincent and Wallace's wife.
Uma Thurman, whatever her name was.
I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, man, it was just, It's so hard to describe this movie.
The Arby's guy. The Arby's guy.
Yes, Marcellus
and Bruce
Wallace.
Willis.
So I
Butch.
guess a quick synopsis of the movie, if we're gonna go through the entire thing. So starts out with this couple in a diner, and they're talking about robbing places, and then they're like, oh, maybe we should get a regular job, and then he's like,
Don't forget about your Dan Schneider foot joke.
Oh, yeah.
That really made me laugh.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We're gonna Tarantino it, okay? We're gonna build. Okay, so, and then it starts with them about to rob the place, and then when they get up on the table and they're about to rob the place, you've seen the movie. We're at the spoiler part.
Yeah.
They
or they just want to know what happens.
the credits start, and then it goes into the first act, which they didn't even label that as the first act.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't. It was a cold open right into the next scene.
Yeah, which was them getting the briefcase with the famous burger scene and the.
Does he look like a bitch?
Yes, does he look like a bitch?
And it starts out. What's his name? John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson characters, where they're interrogating the guy, and then they bust plenty of caps into a guy who did Marcellus dirty.
So they get the briefcase, and then it takes us to a scene that takes place after the end of the movie. Because remember, they go to the bar and they're in the clothes that they get after the end of the movie. So they take the briefcase to him.
This plot is way more confusing once you start trying to describe it.
It's so convoluted because then you introduce. I guess that kind of introduces
Bruce Willis's character.
It does.
Butch.
But why did Butch have to be there? Like why did he have to exist as a character?
I think it was to show that like him and Marcellus had some beef.
Yeah, and I get that, but why did that have to be a part of the movie?
Marcellus is the guy who voices the Arby's commercials, and
Yes,
I could not stop thinking about that the entire time.
Ving Rhames. But
he's also in the new Call of Duty.
But okay, so my thing is like, why did Butch have to exist as a character?
Yeah, I don't
Everything
know,
that has to do with Butch takes place after after the briefcase event.
Yeah.
Everything that has to do but it's in the middle of the movie. And it's like, why does it have to be there? Why did they have to make Butch a character? Because like I know why they had the scene where there was tension between him and Travolta, and how it kind of foreshadowed Travolta getting killed later on in the movie
by Butch.
Yes, but why did Butch have to exist? Why did that have to be a part of the movie? Why wasn't it more about the briefcase? Why didn't the briefcase play a bigger role? I mean, we're led to believe that the briefcase is this...
It's some sort of holy thing or whatever.
Yes, which... I guess we can get into the theory. There's a theory that the briefcase in the movie contains the soul of Marcellus Wallace, and that's why it's so important, and that's why when they open it up, it glows, and nobody knows what it is, and
But all the people who see inside it are like, it's that. But
the code for the briefcase is 666, though, and that's why they think it is. They think, the devil had a soul or something.
Which, I mean, doesn't really make, like, that much sense.
It doesn't.
There's not a lot of weight to that theory, for sure.
But, I mean, there definitely are religious undertones throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
the whole divine intervention and stuff.
Yeah, the divine intervention, the passage that Jules keeps reciting.
From Ezekiel.
Yeah. There's so many religious themes in the movie that it wouldn't shock me if that's what Tarantino was getting at.
Well, because there's the part where he gets shot with that hand, where that huge gun, that dude had that huge gun, and the bullets are like behind where he was standing.
Yeah, exactly.
And Quentin Tarantino's not an idiot. He definitely that's
it was definitely intentional. Because
definitely
if you notice, Jules lingered there for a second, and you could see where the bullets were around him, but it was almost like he was like, "Ha, look, now he's moving," and you see that there were bullets behind him too.
Yeah, so there's definitely, or maybe he died.
Possibly,
and he was trying to, maybe like that whole scene where he was like doing the intervention with the Honey Bunny and Pumpkin was that.
Maybe, but at the same time,
that was my immediate thing. Like when it turned and he was like, "That was a miracle." Like that was like he died.
Yeah, but also at the same time, my thinking was, especially once I saw, or at least my thinking was until I saw the, at least knowing the whole soul briefcase thing, that whole theory, at the beginning of the movie, when I see, when they're retrieving the briefcase, for some, like, my thought was like, oh, maybe they're like, because they're hitmen, they're not nobody knows who they like truly are, quote unquote, like as people. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're hitmen. So maybe they are actually like Grim Reapers, and it's got like this weird like supernatural undertone where they're like, they're going to retrieve Marcellus' soul, and he hired them, and he doesn't necessarily know that they are. But then I see, Vincent get killed later on throughout the movie, so it kind of pokes a hole in that theory.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was the whole divine intervention thing, and I don't know. It's just it has so many weird undertones. Like there was a lot of racial undertones. There was a lot of
The N word was said very many
multiple
times.
Yeah,
And in a friendly sense and a not friendly sense.
yeah, definitely in the not friendly sense, especially by Zed and the pawn shop owner in the film.
That honestly, I was like, whoa!
Yeah, that whole scene. Okay, so in the Bruce Willis section of the movie, which I guess takes place after the end of the movie.
Yeah, because that takes place after the final scene of the movie, I guess.
Yes, which is the end of the arc involving Vincent not involving Vincent because Vincent gets killed by Bruce Willis's character.
I guess it's assumed to believe that Samuel L. Jackson's character Jules, that's like his final bout in the life.
I guess I don't know.
Do you
man.
think he quit or do you think he kept doing it?
That's a great question. We'll never know.
Uh-huh.
There's no Pulp Fiction 2, and I don't think there will be.
Probably not. I think the whole thing is that it's up for interpretation. Art is.
Oh yeah, and that
the eye
movie.
of the beholder.
That movie is straight up art. There is not a single thing about that movie that is not artful.
Well, I mean,
artful.
in the beginning,
I guess that's a word.
I don't know what it was, but I wrote down in my notes it was hard to understand the actors. But it seems like as the movie went on, it got easier to understand what they were saying.
Well, I mean, that was only because the dude had an accent, really.
But
That was
even
my
like
thing.
the scene in the car, where Jules and Vincent are talking about the Royal Cheese, they're talking really quietly.
I guess so.
That could just be because I turned the TV up,
Probably.
or tons of things like that. But
so yeah, and then, I don't know, man. It's just there was a lot of weird undertones, and I don't want to say there was necessarily an anti-drug undertone, because it wasn't really anti-drug.
it was just kind of drug.
Yeah, it was just the whole. Okay, so after the first briefcase section of the movie, it takes us to, which actually, oh my god. So I just realized something because
Hit me with it.
Vincent, John Travolta's character, he takes Marcellus Wallace's wife out to dinner after they give him back the briefcase. So okay, so
And he goes on a trip or something.
yes, the chronological order of the movie, I believe, because in the bar they were talking about where after they give him the briefcase,
They were
after the
talking
whole
about that. Yes.
yes, yeah, he was like, yeah,
Also,
I'm
they
just
had
gonna...
a big conversation about foot massages.
Yes, they did have a big conversation about
And
foot massages.
and Logan then looked at me and said, "Was this written by Dan Schneider?"
I did say that.
And I thought it was very funny.
It was pretty funny, if I may say so myself. But yeah, so I guess the chronological order of the movie was Jesus, this is gonna get difficult. So
It would have been the original scene.
it would have been them getting the briefcase,
Yeah.
them going to the diner, them taking the briefcase back, Uma Thurman going on a date with Vincent.
Well, you forgot the scene where they shot the guy and they talked to Jimmy and stuff, but that doesn't really matter in this
Can
scenario.
we pause the episode? I have a bloody nose.
You have a bloody? Are you what?
Yeah. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Oh, okay. So we're back. I don't know what happened. I just got a bloody nose out of nowhere. But we're just gonna keep going.
Okay.
So I believe we were talking about the chronological order, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I just made your Dan Schneider joke.
yes. So the chronological order would go the scene where they get the briefcase, and then
Then the Jimmy scene, then the diner scene.
yeah, the Jimmy scene, the diner scene, and then it would
bar
go.
Scene.
What bar? Wait, the bar scene? Yeah, the bar scene, and then it would go the Uma Thurman scene, and then it would go the Bruce Willis part
Where he kills
Vincent. So the movie, I guess.
Well,
the
no,
movie,
he killed the boxer. He was a boxer, and then he killed that guy. And then
yes, and then he kills Vincent.
Yes, because what's his face? Ving Rhames.
Marcellus
was mad.
Wallace.
Marcellus Wallace was mad that he killed that guy for some reason. It wasn't really explained why.
I guess they had I don't know, because it seemed as if he paid him to do something, but he didn't do it or something like that. I don't know. Either way. So I guess the movie technically really ends with Bruce Willis riding off into the sunset.
Precisely, with his girl.
But why? Why did Butch have to exist as a character is still my question. We're 20 minutes into this video, and I still want to know why Butch was a character. Because,
that's not a question. That's not an answer. That's not
a
question I have an answer to.
I know. It's so weird to me. Because he just seemed like this weird non sequitur in the movie that didn't really need to...
The scenes with him in it were probably some of my favorite.
And that's right. But maybe it's because, like... they say, like with Star Wars, with the prequel trilogy, they say if you look at the prequel trilogy as Obi-Wan Kenobi's story and not Anakin Skywalker's story, they're more enjoyable. Like, if you view Obi-Wan as the main character, then it's more enjoyable. And I think maybe since I was viewing Jules and Vincent as the main characters, the whole Bruce Willis part seems like a non sequitur. But if we view it as
Bruce Willis's...
No. If you view this as Marcel Wallace's story. Because everything in the movie can be linked back to Marcel Wallace.
Oh, you are correct.
So, like, I mean, you can link...
Also
link the briefcase.
Raped in
yes,
the movie.
He does. You link the briefcase back to Marcel Wallace. And then, after the briefcase, you link the Uma Thurman thing.
Because that's his girl.
Yeah, because, Vincent fears Marcel Wallace, and that's why he needs to save her from ODing. You can link Bruce Willis back to Marcel Wallace because Marcel paid him to do something. And so he's not necessarily the main character, but he's the reason that all of this is happening. And I think, although they made the briefcase seem so important and then it turned out to not be that important, realistically, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that important. Mm-hmm. Maybe, that's just not the point of the movie is the briefcase. The point of the movie is this arc with Marcel Wallace. Marcellus Wallace, not Marcel Wallace.
Things it definitely makes a lot more sense from that point of view, for sure. Because, like, the stuff with Bruce Willis doesn't really matter. If you look at it,
it just comes out of nowhere.
Jules and Vincent
he's
as
just
the main character.
He's just this new character that's introduced halfway through the movie for what?
With like this odd backstory that doesn't really matter.
So, I mean, if you piece it together, the way that I don't know, why do you think Tarantino did that? Why do you think he made it so it started at not even really the end, and then moved on to right before the end, and then moved on to the actual end, and then moved back to sort of the beginning-ish?
Well, that comes from a whole
it's an
tons of different things that it all come full circle. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's an artistic choice.
That's what they did in The Outsiders. That's what they did.
What?
It sort of happens in The Outsiders. In The Outsiders, it starts out.
The Outsiders is in the movie with Stay Gold Pony Boy, which was also
also the book.
Yes,
yeah. Also the book.
Stay Gold.
The Outsiders kind of ends like that. It ends with like the same sentence that it begins with. It kind of comes full circle like that.
I guess maybe it is a
artistic choice or something.
Metaphor for coming full circle.
I think that's what it is, sort of. And in this movie in particular, it's a learning thing, because it starts out with that like weird thing, and then it ends with like a sort of a way that you didn't think it would end.
I guess that makes sense. Maybe. I don't know, man. It's such a hard movie to dissect. We really chose a difficult movie to do for our first Movie Mondays. Because neither of us are professional movie critics or movie reviewers. We just, I think that Movie Monday...
I'm an actor, though, so...
I think that this is more of, like, casual people...
Yeah, but we're still gonna
who just love movies.
I would still consider this like a review.
Oh, I mean, I'd say we're above casual. We're above casual, but we're not professional.
Yeah, because we still enjoy it as a form of art instead of just like a movie. Because I hate it when people are like, "Why don't you just enjoy it? It's just a movie." Like, no. Okay, that's a different topic.
Yeah, exactly.
It had a good soundtrack. Had a lot of good songs.
It did have a great soundtrack.
Had a lot of really good songs.
Really enjoyed the soundtrack. A lot of it just fit the feel of the movie. He was like there was points when you could see that he was going for like an old like almost an old western kind of vibe with the way the music kind of built up to these
the
like
whole setting
scenes.
and stuff for that movie really confused me.
Yeah, because like it felt like it was
the whole time we thought it was like in the 70s, but then he whips out a cell phone and it's like, wait.
Yeah, it was definitely very, very odd. But I mean, it takes place in 1992 and
early 90s.
Early 90s, because the movie was released in 94.
Yeah.
So I guess it takes place.
And they had 90s era cell phones, but like everything else felt 80s.
Yeah,
and
then they went to, they go to Jackrabbit Skin or Slim Jackrabbit.
Well, but that's set. That's like a
Yeah,
40s.
and that's
aesthetic.
that's like a 50s bar, isn't it?
It had Marilyn Monroe, stuff like that. That's like 40s, 50s, 40s, 50s.
I think it's 50s. I don't know. I don't know my stuff
And
that
Steve
well.
Buscemi was there. That was
Yeah,
odd.
Steve Buscemi just made a random cameo where he was playing.
A
was-
waiter.
Yeah, he was playing a waiter. It was very odd, but I mean, all in all, strange
liked
movie. I definitely
It
enjoyed
was
it.
definitely. You still have anything you want to say, or you got your you want to put the score in?
I think we can just go ahead and do the score. So yeah, I would give it a solid. Let's see, if I'm looking at it from a semi-professional standpoint,
I would.
like movie-wise, I would give it probably like a 9.5. Honestly,
I was saying an 8.5.
it's a very good film.
Maybe a 9.
The way that it's made, or the way that it's shot, the acting, the directing,
Yeah,
the
if
writing.
you look at it from like an art standpoint, it's a very
wonderful.
good. But if you look at it from like a storytelling aspect,
Yeah.
it's like a.
If you're a casual viewer, like a super casual viewer, and you see this movie,
You'll probably be confused
yeah, you're gonna not like it.
because we were paying like hard attention. We were writing notes down and stuff, and I was still like, "Wait,
Yeah,
what's happening?"
and it's but I mean, maybe that's one of the things that made it so interesting, and like even though nothing really substantial or climactic really happened, none of these characters really had like a crazy arc that changed who they were, except for Jules kind of did, and I guess Marcellus did towards the end of the movie when the real true end of the movie with the Bruce Willis thing where Bruce Willis saved him and he's like, yeah, we're cool or whatever, and then he goes medieval on his ass. I
want
mean,
to talk about that scene more because it was such an interesting scene.
it was the scene we're referring to, the scene in the Bruce Willis part of the movie where
They get kidnapped basically
yeah, they
by
get-
this pawn shop owner.
yeah, and then Ving Rhames, Marcellus Wallace gets
Gets raped.
raped.
And then Bruce Willis stabs one of the guys with a katana sword. And then there's a guy in a gimp suit, which
Yeah, and
which is really odd.
Ving Rhames takes a shotgun and shoots this dude right in the PP.
Right in the dongus.
Yeah. Also, Bruce Willis dong. There was Bruce Willis dong in the movie. I forgot to bring this up earlier. There's Bruce Willis dong in
Bruce
this
Willie.
movie. It's Bruce Willie. Bruce is Bruce Willie. So
Free Bruce Willis.
but yeah, so shoot, what were we talking about?
we were just giving the report. We were about to end the episode.
Yeah. Sorry, I got sidetracked by Bruce Willie. All right, but yeah, so I definitely give it a 9.5. If you're a casual viewer, it's probably going to be difficult to watch. And I think one of the things that made the movie so interesting and so compelling was not necessarily the large arcs of these characters and how they changed, but how you piece together
How the art,
the story.
Yeah, how it was.
And how you're like, oh, that's what happened. That's when this happens, and that's when this happens, and like you piece it together chronologically instead of I don't know. It was a very strange movie. So definitely, if you're a casual viewer, it might not be for you. But if you love weird stuff,
you really have to pay attention.
and if you love like vintage stuff, this movie's got
Oh
plenty
yeah,
of visuals. Oh, it's a great film.
it's a classic for a reason, for sure.
It is definitely a classic.
But if you're like, hey, let's watch this movie as a date, you're gonna be like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, your girl probably won't like it, or man,
The guy.
or your guy.
I mean, me and Logan watched it as a date, basically.
It was basically a date.
Also, it's got a pretty long runtime too.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours and
Two and a half hours.
I believe it was like 2:44 was the runtime, something
Yeah, that's
something along
definitely-
those lines.
That's definitely a while.
But anyways, so yeah, I give it a 9.5. Sethy over here gives it. You said what? 8.5.
Yeah, I said a high 8, maybe a low 9. Know what I'm saying?
Okay, so yeah, that's our review of
I'm not good with like
Pulp Fiction.
specific numbers like that because then I'm like, no, but then there's that thing, but then there's that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want
We
to
should
be.
come up with our own like stupid ranking system that doesn't really mean anything.
I can't be overly specific with this movie because Jesus Christ, if I were to be overly specific with this movie, I'd have to watch it at least like 3 more times.
We'd have
and-
like an hour-long episode if we kept talking about stuff that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so, but anyways, I believe 30 minutes is good enough, and I hope this review wasn't too boring. It's not really a review or an analysis, it's just us talking about
First
the movie.
impressions.
So, yes, join us next week for our first episode of Music Mondays.
where we'll talk. I'm thinking we talk about artists to look out for in 2018.
Sure.
I think that'd be a good one.
And then join us the week after that for Movie Mondays again, where we'll be talking about,
Pump Friction.
I was going to say Transformers The Last Night. Oh, you're gonna hear my entire spiel and rant about that because I hate that movie.
Are we really? Are we gonna? Is that?
Oh, I'm down
is that
for
set
it.
in stone now?
Oh, I'm here for it. We're gonna watch it together because I know you haven't seen it, but I'm gonna make you watch the 1980s cartoon
So it's gonna be a
Transformers movie
twofer,
first.
A twofer.
Yes, because I want you to see what part of my childhood that they ruined.
Well, it's not like the old movie isn't there anymore.
Yes, I know that, but I want you to. But I was hoping that they would modernize the old story and just make it a live action film, and that would have been beautiful. But they didn't do that, Seth. They took everything I loved and they trashed it. They threw it all in the trash. But
I wish we could still get around to watching the three 50 Shades movies for Valentine's Day. I don't think we're gonna. That's next year for Valentine's Day.
yes, all right.
Maybe
but
we
anyways,
can get some girls on there. Or maybe get our girls and have them watch it with us. Do a foursome. Wait, that's not what I meant.
anyways, we love you, sweeties. Enjoy Pulp Fiction if you haven't seen it.
Can we call our fans that, sweeties? I like
Sweeties.
that.
What fans?
You're right.
All right.
But here's the first movie Monday down in the books.
Yeah. So hope you all enjoyed.
I love you.
Yep. Subscribe, like, do all that kind of stuff if you want. You don't have to. Or
Show your
anything.
friends, please.
Yeah, show
Tell
your
them
friends.
We're funny and
Show your grandma. Your grandma likes Pulp Fiction.
Email this to your grandma.
I bet your grandma loves Pulp Fiction. I bet she saw it in theaters and she was like, I love this movie. I like when Jules says, I have a wallet that says I'm a bad mother.